it starts with owning your crap, getting real about who you are, where you're at, and why you're there. Too many of us are experts in what we don't know, don't have, and can't do.
Welcome to the Cleaning Up Podcast, Millionaire Secrets of the Home Services Industry, brought to you by me, Ron Holt, CEO and founder of Two Maids and a Mop, America's fastest growing cleaning company. I get a chance to sit down with home service industry pros and other entrepreneurial leaders so they can share their stories, their insight, their experiences. It's so much fun. You're going to learn so much. And you're going to be inspired to take your small business into a national brand just like I did. Hey guys, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Cleaning Up Podcast, Millionaire Secrets of the Home Service Industry. Of course, I'm Ron, CEO and founder of Two Maids and a Mop. Excited to talk to you. A great guest today. His name's Tom Reber. Tom is a former painter turned painting business owner. He has helped so many people in the trades and the contracting industry. He is a business and entrepreneurial coach, has helped, again, hundreds of people along the way. And most recently, about to be famous HTV host. And so I can't wait to learn a little bit more about that. Sounds pretty fun and exciting. So Tom, welcome to the Cleaning Up Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Ron. How you doing today?
Oh man, I'm doing wonderful. Anytime we get to talk shop, and it's a fun day for me.
There you go.
All right. So you got a big resume. You've helped a ton of folks, maybe not specifically in our own specific industry here in the cleaning world, but you've helped a lot of people on the consumer service side, and whether it's a painting business, HVAC, whatever, all of our customers are pretty much the same. And I feel like a lot of the employees are the same. They may be different in terms of male versus female, but how we manage, how we hire those folks are all very similar. So I'm really excited to learn from you today. But before we jump into some of those things that you've learned, I'd like to know a little bit more about you and your life and what's led you to where we are today.
Oh, cool, man. Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, we've actually had a few cleaning companies, I think, sneak through some of our programs. I don't know how they got in, but they got in. So, but yeah, you're right. It's all the same stuff, just a different profession and little nuances. But anyway, I'm from outside of Chicago, grew up in Wheaton, Illinois. Ended up joining the Marine Corps a million years ago, and was in and out of the Marine Corps by 1992. So I'm older. And, super proud of that. And, did a lot of cool stuff in the Corps, got out of the Marine Corps. And now my whole life, I did everything I could to get out of the trades. I didn't want to be in the trades because every contractor I knew was not as well off as my buddies in town who had dads that were doctors and, wore suits to work and stuff like that. And
sure. And
so most of the contractors I knew, my dad being one of them, never had a lot of money. He was always dirty. He was always tired. And we didn't do the things that other people did. And I'm like, I just didn't know you could make a lot of money in the trades. But long story short, I worked for him. He was a tile guy. I worked for my uncle, who's a painting contractor. Ended up working longer for my uncle. Actually, when I got out of the Marine Corps, I worked for him, ran one of his crews for a few years until I decided to go off and I started selling windows, man. I was selling windows and siding. And then I ended up selling rebar and concrete products. And then I ended up selling nailers like Paslode and Hitachi nail guns and nails and fasteners. And I'm driving around, and this was, I think this had to be like 2002. Yeah, it was early 2002. I'm driving around, and I'm selling these pallets of nails to all these carpenters, and I'm looking around at all the opportunity, all these houses going up, and I'm like, I kind of know how to paint, right? That's how this whole thing starts. We know how to do something. And so I started a painting business, grew it really, really quick out of the gate. We went from, zero to doing, between 300 and 400 paint projects a year. And the next several years sold millions and millions of dollars worth of painting projects. And I ended up with a partner in that period of time. And then I sold my half of the business in late 2011, early 2012, because somebody tapped me on the shoulder and asked me to speak at an event. And because we were doing some pretty cool things with our marketing and our culture and our painting business, people wanted to pick my brain. And then that's when the pilot light was kind of lit for me that I'd love to help people. And so I started coaching just on accident. And the next thing you know, we got this thing called the Contractor Fight, where we've literally helped, hundreds of thousands of contractors around the world. We have, an amazing community of people, and And everything we do here is designed to bring respect and dignity back to the trades. And so I started shooting videos just to add value and recording podcasts. So several hundred podcasts and videos later, I get tapped on the shoulder. Some dude's like, "Hey, we want you to host an HGTV show." And I blew him off. I thought it was a joke. And, because you get, when you're on YouTube and stuff, you get a lot of solicitations from people.
Sure.
Like, we got this thing, and I just thought it was another one of those, and it wasn't. And so we just finished filming season 1 of our new show that's supposed to come out fall of 2021. The working title, and you say working title because they could still change it. It's not the official, but working title right now is called Unfinished Business, where I go in and I help some families obviously finish a project with my team and I. So it's pretty cool, man. It's a pretty crazy ride that we've been on the last decade here.
Man, it sounds like a dream come true, the American dream we all strive for and literally dream about, So congratulations on a life of purpose so far. And
thank you.
I love your name, Contractor Fight, so especially that second word, because I know a contractor is the technical term, but you can almost insert business owner fight.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I think entrepreneurship's all about. It's the hustle, it's the fight that's required. There's so many reasons and ways to lose in business, and oftentimes you do. And very much like a fight, you don't win every battle. But man, I just love the mentality, the mindset that's kind of created by just the naming of your coaching program. So congrats on that as well. We'll learn a little bit about that as we go along here in the interview. So I'm going to talk mostly about positive things. I'm a more of an optimist than a pessimist, but I wanted to kind of jump into something that's a little bit negative first, and we'll leave that behind afterwards. But you've talked to, like you said, some maid service businesses along the way, but a ton of contractors that have all been in the trades for a long time now. Some, I'm sure, have taken your advice and just totally killed it, just crushed it, and they're living their own dream come true. I'm sure there's some that have not and have failed. What's the one thing that you see in the folks who succeed versus fail? Like what's one thing that separates those two groups of people?
Yeah, well, in my world, it starts with owning your crap, getting real about who you are, where you're at, and why you're there. Too many of us are experts in what we don't know, don't have, and can't do. Instead of, and then we make excuses of why, we're not growing and changing. That's why most service business owners are struggling, because they don't get the mental game right. They have a less than view of themselves and their value and what they're truly worth, and they think they have to play by the same rules that all the other broke service business owners are playing by. And so I'd say hands down, the successful ones have really embraced the fact that this whole business thing is 90% between my ears and 10% math. And if I can master my thinking, which then become my beliefs, which turn into my actions, which get me the results that I want, the game changes pretty quick, Ron.
I'm with you. You gotta. We're in a similar business. My job is also counsel franchise owners. We got a lot of people listening to the show, but some of them are actually franchise owners in the two maids and a mop system. And, I don't like to admit this, but we haven't always just touched gold. We haven't had the Midas touch everything we've ever done. So we've made some mistakes along the way. We've had some even business failures along the way. But I'm with you, man. When we see a successful franchisee, they're all in good markets. They all have the same business model. They're all using the same tools. The customers are the same, but the owners always look and share some very common traits, and there's never any excuses. It's always about what's next, So I'm with you. In fact, there's this really fun story I heard just recently, and it's a really simple analogy. It's about a football team that wins a lot that is in our backyard called Alabama. I'm not a fan of Alabama, so take it for what it's worth. But they have this motto. It's just 4 words. So what? Now what? All right. Basically meaning, all right, it happened. Now what? Instead of swallowing, instead of crying, instead of just quitting. Now what? Now what? And so there's that thing happens in business. I know we're both sports guys. We like competition, but that's the ultimate arena, entrepreneurship. I mean, it gets no more competitive than it gets out there in the business world.
Yeah. There's this, I don't know. It's been around for a while, and I understand the heart behind this, so I'll give it some credit. But people say I don't. There's no such thing as losing. I only learn, right? And I'm like, well, no. Sometimes you get your butt kicked.
Right.
It's just that simple. Sometimes there's a winner and there's a loser. There's always a winner and a loser. You bring up football. I spent 17 years as a high school football coach, and I used to tell the guys in every snap of the ball, there's 11 guys that win and 11 guys that lose. That there's 11 dudes that did their job and 11 guys that didn't get the job done, period.
Mm.
And you only learn and quote, fail forward if you really look in the mirror and own your crap you don't just get your butt kicked and automatically learned. It takes some intention to learn those lessons. And I remember almost everything that comes out of my mouth in the contractor fight for the past decade has been it's been my own personal experience. If I'm jumping all over a contractor for not doing a job with a contract or not charging for upsells or pricing their work wrong, these are all mistakes that I've made and learned from, and I turn them around. And so the first, to me, big job I ever did, I sold for $28,000. This paint job was my first year of business. And I was so excited, Ron. I thought I was going to be rich. Like $28,000, man. I was so fired up. And long story short, we didn't finish the project for over a year, because the guy was general contracting his own house. And the job actually cost me $45,000 to produce. And so, it's over a year of my life of headaches and stress. I sell it for 28. It cost me 45. So I got to write a bigger check than what I brought in. And what that means is I should have charged $90,000 to $100,000 for the job. And so that's how, I underbid the thing by $70,000, $80,000. And that was the biggest experience I've ever had that's taught me the most about running a business and your numbers and things like that. And it's, and like you said at the top here, we're service businesses, right? We're given prices. We have to create a great experience. We got to deliver on the promises we make in the sales process. We deal with objections. We all have to market our business. We got to lead our people. It's all the same.
I hear you, man. That was good stuff. So you mentioned jobs, what the job of the owner is. And I think a lot of times owners of businesses forget, contracting or not, sometimes they forget what their actual job is, like what they're supposed to be doing. In fact, I think in our world, it's even worse, because most people don't grow up to wanting to, own whatever they sell in their business. I don't know any kids I grew up with that said, man, I really want to grow up to be an insurance salesman one day. But then they go out and they sell insurance, they make a bunch of money. Yay. But that's just sort of a means to the end. They never really love the idea of insurance. But in our world, in the trades, people love painting. People love cleaning, and they think because they love it and they're good at it, that means they'll be able to build a successful business. But I think a little bit differently. And I believe you probably do as well. So what do you think the job of a service-based business owner is?
Yeah, well, 100%. It's market and sell. You got to score points. You don't have a business if you don't have money coming in. And so many business owners get caught up in the day-to-day cleaning, painting, building, that, they get through that job and then they pop their head up and they realize they don't have any other work on the horizon, or they don't, they're not making the money they thought they would make. So your number one job is to run the business, and for me, and this is just, and to be fair here, Ron, in my programs and my content, there's certain things that are always fresh on my brain. Like right now, as we're recording this, we're in a big theme in my business of really waking guys up, waking business owners up to remind them that right now you have to market and sell even when you're busy. You have to step on the gas. Otherwise, you're never going to get to that next level in your business, because you're going to just be on that hamster wheel trying to keep up and balance everything. So I see, I grew up, in the painting industry, and I painted, and I think it actually, I was blessed that I'm not that good of a painter, so I wasn't threatened to stay in the field. But a lot of business owners are really good craftsmen. A lot of the people that work, have your franchises are amazing at what they do and their attention to detail and things like that. And it's really hard to let go of those things and train new people and recruit. But if you don't do that, you're never going to grow beyond a certain point in your business and a certain revenue and a certain amount of freedom.
Well, I totally agree with you. I definitely never loved the idea of cleaning.
Right.
I picked up a broom early on, but not many of them, because if I did that, one, I was out in the field and I can't be in my business if I'm doing that. And two, like you said, I kind of stunk. So I wasn't helping my business if I was literally cleaning a home.
Yeah.
So how do you stand out? So you're in this business. You're like, okay, I hear you, Tom. I hear you, Ron. I don't need to love cleaning. I don't need to love painting.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to stay in the office. I'm going to be the administrative guy. I'm going to be the salesperson, marketing, person, and so forth. What do I do? How do I stand out from all the competition out there in the home services business? There's definitely a loaded field out there. So it's hard to say to yourself, I'm going to be the number one brand in this community of all the hundreds of painting businesses that are open. So how do you do that?
Yeah, well, I think it starts with the marketing and company identity, and like you with your franchisees, one of the benefits of them is they have, you're handing them stuff you've already figured out, right?
Right.
You've done a lot of the research for them. And most service businesses struggle with the marketing piece where they don't understand their ideal client. They don't understand their ideal project. They don't know how to reach them. Their marketing materials and their messaging doesn't resonate with them. And so first and foremost, you got to stand out by really connecting with another human being, and their pain points and their reasons for wanting to do the project. That's really digging into the motive. And that's something that you can accomplish a lot of in your marketing. You can accomplish a lot of that in your sales process, but ultimately it's going to come down. The biggest differentiator is going to be the experience that you give somebody. What's it like working with your company? One of my biggest struggles for many years doing thousands and thousands of paint jobs early on was trying to show how we were different before they ever hired us. And I think it's easier now that we have social media and everyone can shoot video, and there's so many things I believe you can do from a experience, keep the relationship warm point of view that will reduce that buyer's remorse, those issues that the typical homeowner has about a service business. I think another thing that's a great way to differentiate is really stepping up and committing to be the experts in your industry when it comes to education. One of my marketing strategies in every business I own now and ever will own, our number one strategy is be the best educators in our business. So if somebody goes to Google and they type in any question about painting, landscaping, house cleaning, whatever is how do I clean a granite countertop or whatever it is, that something from my company, my voice, our voice should be coming up, not the home advisors of the world, if that makes sense. And I think that's really low hanging fruit for service businesses, is being that expert, because when you're the expert, trust goes up, your income goes up because people price shop the experts way less. I could talk for hours on this content thing, but bottom line is, if they're asking questions, you got to be answering those questions and educating. And that's a huge differentiator because people want to do their research.
Yeah, I believe that every business is, whether they want to believe it or not, is in the entertainment business. There needs to be a little bit of Disney in every single business. And it takes me back to one of my early days when you were telling the story. I'm a big fan of customer experience. We've been pushing that a bunch. We've had a lot of really fun CX guys, even EX folks come on the show in the past even. But it makes me think about one of my first days on the job when I was just starting out, 2 maids and a mop, and cleaned this home. We had went out and we had bought all the latest and greatest gadgets. We had some really cool supplies, the best chemicals. We had trained, like we were ready. We go out, we do the job, we go above and beyond. Customer says we're great, and all is good. There's nothing bad about this story. So I said, I got to know, like, what was so great? Like, what was it? The cool gadgets? Was it the great chemicals that we used? They go, you showed up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You're on time, man.
Apparently they had hired others and they literally didn't show up, or like you said, they had been very late. And I was like, gosh, what about all the cool stuff?
Yeah. Well, I have story after story, but one of the most memorable stories of mine where the light really started to click on for me on this whole marketing and experience thing was, I asked this woman in the sales process once, I said, hey, what's the worst thing that could happen? You're going to hire somebody to do this project for you. We're going to be here a week or so. What's the worst thing that could happen when you hire a contractor? I kind of flipped it instead of, hey, what do you want to happen? And she says, tell you what, the worst thing that can happen is whoever paints this house wakes up my twins. They sleep from like 1 to 2:30 every day, like clockwork. It's the only time I have 90 minutes of uninterrupted time to myself. And if you wake my kids up, I'll kill you all. Right. I mean, that was pretty much what she said. And so we made, and this is a huge differentiator here, is when you're selling your services, and you just shared the story, you made it, you were going out buying all the cool gadgets and the special cleaners, and you were going technical. That's where a lot of us go, is we go technical, and we think that's the differentiator, when the real differentiator is the things that are important to the client. And in this case, this woman was, don't wake my kids up. Like the paint job was actually secondary to that. And when you understand that, you can contract the job around those things and make your guarantees around those things that are individual for each person. In your case, their big pain sounds like they had a bunch of people that didn't show up, and you just being there, and then the work kicks in. Then they appreciate the technical. But many business owners in general don't know how to sell, Ron. They don't know how to listen really well in between the lines. And I literally used to go out and go, yeah, we use a 1/2-inch nap roller on this, and we blah, 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 and this is the product. And it was all technical. Nobody cared, because it wasn't their reasons for buying. Those were mine, And so I learned through the years to really flip it and just go, all right, my salespeople and it's all about understanding them, what's important to them, their reasons for pulling the trigger. They're going to hire somebody, what's most important. And the company that can connect with that the most is going to get the job. It's that simple.
I'm with you. All right. So we're going to take a quick step back.
All right.
We know why we fail. We know why we succeed. We know what our job is as the owner. And now we know to stand out, we have to create a unique experience. So maybe we'll call it remarkable experience for our customers. Now we got to get someone to do the work. How do we find the right kind of people? That's in the contracting world, especially in 21. It's tough. It's tough out there. So what do we do? How do we find these? How do we hire someone besides just anyone?
Yeah. Oh man, this is the biggest struggle I think facing companies right now. It's the whole labor issue, and it has been for a while. And I think you're taking a step back here. I want to take a step a few decades back. Since as long as I can remember, I'm 51. Our country, our institutions have been driving people to college. And caused many people to view the trades as just a fallback option. And I believe, so that's one side of it, that we're battling this whole perception of what it means to be in the trades. The second is that, back to when I said I did everything I could do to not be in the trades, it's because none of the guys that I knew were making money. I'm like, why would I, when every contractor is, and we've done a lot of research around over the years, is like, here in the fight, the average home improvement business owner is only making 50 to 60 grand a year, and their debt is climbing, and they're reliving the same year 10, 15, 20 years in a row. And so I want to set that foundation that I believe the fundamental issue in finding and building a team is really it's our job to make it attractive to people. That's why I talk about money so much, about making money. You're in business to make money. If you're not making money, why the heck, would people want to come work for you? And where's the future in that? That being said, most of us, we start a business, we don't take some time to really dig down to what our values are and what kind of characteristics are important to us as the owner, because I want to attract a team that resonates and has unity with me on the things that are important to me. So, for instance, I worked with a guy many years ago as a landscaper. One of his company values was competitive people only. Like, he just doesn't respect people that aren't competitive. And so, and he knows that he's going to hire somebody, and if they don't have some competitive juice in them, they're not going to be a good fit. So he made that part of his hiring, where he would attract former athletes and wrestlers and ultra competitive people that also wanted to make money, that were positive and this and that. So it all starts with the character piece of really identifying who's a good fit to work here at my company. And then kind of the 1B, or the Siamese twin to that, getting clear on that, is you got to be fanatical about recruiting and marketing your business. Like the more you build your brand, the more you're taking advantage of the social aspect of things, social media and video and all these things. It's going to really send a message that you're a company to come work for. And those winners are going to come and want to be part of your culture when you are showing us your culture. Most businesses market for their services to get hired, but don't do anything to market the employee growth side of their business, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I've talked about this before. I'm fortunately married. I don't have to worry about dating, any of that crap anymore. But if I were, from what I understand, the internet's where it's at. So, I'm thinking, I'm an eligible bachelor. I'm going to take my photo. I'm going to put it out there, and I'm going to say, "Hey, world, here I am," and that's it. Probably not going to get a whole bunch of dates, and I'm certainly not going to get a whole lot of dates if they say, "Hey, let's talk," and then I go, "Sure, let's just meet at 2:00 at the Starbucks." Like you got to give me. People need reasons to show up to do things, and usually when I say that analogy, it brings it home, because the same thing happens every day when someone's looking for a job opportunity. They need to be sold. It's 2021. It's over. It's the days of of honor and pride, just and having the opportunity to work for someone in exchange for a paycheck. It's over. People have to be sold before the job and even during the job to keep being motivated to want to work there. So I'm with you, man.
And I think I just want to give somebody something tactical here. I do this workshop here in the Fight called the Profit Path. And one of the fundamental elements of a highly profitable company, a company that's profitable year after year on purpose, intentionally, is that they're highly focused on employee satisfaction. Okay. That the better your people feel about getting up and coming to work, the stronger culture that you have, the more you have their backs, the more they feel safe, the more they have opportunity to grow and develop, and you support them. When you create that, they can't help but evangelize out to their friends and their network and their world. So that's a great attraction tool, is you've got to take care of your current team. And with that, so here's the tactical part. It might be, take that little box we all carry around with that has a video camera on it that we can connect to anyone in the world with in like a second, which is pretty cool. And if you're on a job site, your franchisee goes in and one of the people cleaning the house is doing a phenomenal job with something, take a picture and give that employee some props. Do a quick video and intro your team and tell their story. Like, I really believe that and I've made this mistake where we focus on all the things they're doing wrong, because that's the easier thing to do. But when you start focusing on the things they're doing right, and you reward and bring attention to the things that you want more of, that's going to really help create the type of culture that other people are going to want to be a part of. And if, like, seriously, if I had to say, what's one thing you could do to scale your business? Like, if you want to double your business, it's easy to go talk leads and sales. I would double down on the way I train, develop, and support my people.
I like it. All right. So I'm gonna hit you with some rapid fire questions if you're ready for that. So
I didn't study, man.
Yeah, no, I know. These are going to be some softball ones, I bet.
All right.
I've seen your stuff, and you're all over it, man. All right. So I'm a big fan of habits. I think habits are critical for success. I think you need to be as boring as a person as possible, meaning you got to do the same things over and over again. And when you do that, practice makes perfect. So let's talk about some habits that you have, some habits you've seen other people have, and habits that other entrepreneurs that really need to have. What are one or two habits that really stick out for you?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're asking about the habits, because our habits are really a preview of our future, right? You want to know what you're going to look like physically in 10 years. What are your habits today? You want to know what your bank account's going to look like in 10 years. What are your financial habits today, and your business in every area of your life? So, the biggest impact that I've seen is when people create the habit of taking time every day to just write down a few things that they're grateful for. This seems to be like the flavor of the month for the last 5 years, this whole gratitude thing, Ron. Like, everyone's talking about, gratitude, but it's really a powerful lever, because it just starts your day right, where you're like, instead of waking up and dreading stuff, you're waking up and looking for opportunity for good. And that's what I love about just starting my day with gratitude. There's that. There's writing down what I call, their affirmations. I call them my I am statements. We spent a lifetime sabotaging our own brains subconsciously and consciously and telling ourselves, I'm not good with money. I'm not this. I'm not that. There's no good people out there that I can find to work, or all my customers are cheap. Nobody wants to pay full price. Like we have 70 to 90,000 thoughts a day, and most of them are negative. And if we're not really intentional about that gratitude piece and our personal affirmations. So for instance, I come from a family that never had a lot of money. I never knew it was possible for me to make a lot of money. And then one day I started just going, you know what, I'm a magnet for money and success. And I'm going to start telling myself that. And so I think it's really managing that self-talk. Got to move your body some way, shape, or form, right? I believe good things happen. I'm not going to beat that up. When you move your body, we make a bunch of excuses. I don't have time. I don't have time for all these things that Tom's just said. That's BS, because you make time. You find time, you create time for the stuff that's important to you. Successful habits, market your business every day, every single day. I don't care how busy you are. I don't care what day of the week it is. Ron, we have a thing here in our sales academy where it's like, we believe that if you have a day that your cash register does not ring as a business owner, meaning you signed a new contract. I'm not even talking like getting paid for a job you sold a month ago. I'm talking about selling a job every day. That's the expectation. Ring the cash register every day. When you have a habit of that, good things really happen in your future.
That's a great habit. I love it. All those things resonate with me. Hopefully everyone out there listening wants to change something about themselves today. And that's where it starts, today. Do it one time, then do it 2 times. And then it slowly but surely becomes a habit. And then you have results from that. And that's success. If you want to know the definition of success, that's it, in my opinion. All right. One of the things that stuck out to me, in fact, I'm going to tell you a little bit of a backstory here. I was initially I've discovered you through another interview you did a while back. And when I did some Googling, as you call it, I found this article that you did about hunting versus the hunter versus the farmer. And I fell in love with it, man. And so I'd love for you just to tell that story, because I think everyone is going to be able to relate to that and see where they are. Which side of the fence are they on as a business owner?
Yeah. Earlier we talked about your job, right? Your job is not to swing the hammer or the broom or whatever anymore. Your job is to grow the business. And I've just seen this pattern. I saw it myself for many years, and it still pops up from time to time. It's never fully resolved. But we start giving our attention to all the other things in the business, except the things that are really going to make it grow in the long run. And so, guys, I keep saying guys, but men, women,
sure.
They get busy doing their thing, and then they've taken their foot off the marketing pedal. And that's really the origin of this article that I wrote many years ago. And so really, you can farm or you can hunt. And I think you need to do both. In the initial stages of a business, and I'll just tell you my story, all I knew was to go out and throw a spear in something and drag it back to the village. I didn't have a website. I didn't have lettered vehicles. I didn't even have yard signs. I didn't know there was a such thing as networking groups. Honestly, Ron, I had no idea that you were supposed to even have a marketing plan. There were so many things I was clueless of, email marketing, all that stuff, that all I knew was that I needed to talk to people, and people needed to know that I painted stuff like that. That's as simple as it was. So, hunting to me is prospecting. It's looking for relationships to fill my pipeline, to get in the batter's box, so I have opportunities to sell my stuff. And so if I saw a dumpster in front of a house with, wood and drywall in it, I would stop, knock on the door, and go, "Hey, I'm Tom, and I see that you're doing stuff inside the house, and I actually paint houses. I thought you might want to know me." And I handed him my card. I'd see a builder driving down the road, right? And Let's say one of your franchises wants to do, and I don't know what I'm talking here when it comes to your specific, but like, let's just say they want to pick up some builders and do that new construction cleaning, which maybe that makes you crazy, right?
Right.
But anyway, which probably does. But if I were doing that, I would see the builder and I'd call the number on the truck. I go, hey, I'm Tom. I see you build beautiful houses. I happen to clean beautiful houses. We should know each other. So it's just being on the hunt. It's always looking for those opportunities. It's really the mindset of not waiting for stuff to come to you. Too many business owners wait and they just stare at the phone instead of going out, meeting people, sending some cold emails. I mean, I've done millions of dollars of sales simply because I opened my mouth and I was my own biggest fan. And then the other side is farming. Like farming is writing blogs, creating content, educating, building relationships with our past customers. It's planting those seeds, it's nurturing those seeds. And so that's your job as a business owner. I mean, you just think about some of the things that I just shared. It takes a lot of time. And if you're still working on the job site, you're not going to be able to hunt and farm in the way that you need to grow your business, and you're going to struggle. And so that's really the origin of that whole article years ago.
I love it. That's such a fun description of the life of a business owner, an entrepreneur. And I think a lot of people do get so caught up in the phone ringing. I don't know about your clients, but right now, it's as busy as it's really ever been.
Yeah.
And I've been in this industry for 18 years, and I talk to a lot of other home service professionals outside of the cleaning world, and they seem to be pretty dang busy as well. And so it's kind of, I hate to use the word, but kind of easy to get work right now. And part of me wonders if that's good or bad, because I don't want it to be too easy. I also don't want people to settle. Like, I'm just going to show up at the office. I'm going to get a couple of new jobs. I'm going to be happy because my business is growing. But what if you could get 12 new jobs every day? Like that's possible out there. The demand is so strong for home services right now, but that big days like that are possible. So what if that were your goal? It would require you to hunt, like you just said.
Yeah.
That hunting personality, that hunting mindset takes you in so many different directions besides just getting new work as well. It forces you to think outside the box. It forces you to hire more people, the right people.
Well, here's the thing I see a lot of right now too. You brought up everyone's busy now, the phone's ringing. That's what we're seeing here too. And guys are starting to go, well, I don't want to get too big. I don't want to sell too much. I don't want to grow too fast. And I've been doing this long enough, Ron, to know that when I start hearing somebody say things like that, to me, it's code for I don't trust myself to grow as the leader I need to be to facilitate the scaling of my business. That's all it is to me. It's a fear. It's a lack of trust in themselves to do what they need to do to get out of their comfort zone to go to that next level of their business. And I have a mindset that everything is easier when you sell and you have money coming in, you have oxygen. And if I'm going to have a problem in my business, I don't want it to be leads and sales, because it's much harder to deal with any problem in the business. It's like I've been there, when that phone is not ringing and you're just like going, what the heck am I going to do with my crew this week? That's a terrible place to be. I'd rather have the problem of having to apologize to people that I'm booked out 8 months. That to me, it's going to be hard either way. So you get to choose your hard.
Well, Tom, you've been amazing. I love your content. Today's interview has been even better than I had hoped for. Honestly, I just think everything you're saying is, you preach to the choir here. But I hope there's a bunch of people out there listening that really learn from this and can use today as really an inspiration to really start changing and start improving and growing their business. I'd like for them to have a chance to talk to you, to connect with you. So what can they do to connect with you, Tom?
Ron, first of all, I really appreciate you having me, man. It's been a pleasure talking with you and watching what you've been doing. But yeah, any social platform, YouTube, podcasting, Facebook, Instagram, wherever, Google, just type in the Contractor Fight or the contractorfight.com and keep it simple, and they could see what we got going on over here.
All right, Tom. Well, Tom and I were talking off air before we go. I just want to say thanks for your service to our country. Same thing to your son. I know you're proud of him. I would be equally as proud. So congrats on raising a fine man. And
thank you.
Thanks again for your service to our country. And thanks for your service to the entrepreneurial world inside the trades. We need that. We get so caught up in that word trades that we forget that it's a business first. So I hope people reach out to you. Congrats again on that big HGTV show. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun, real entertaining as well. So we'll see you. We'll see you in Hollywood soon.
Sounds good. Thanks again.
You bet.
Kyle Davis here from Business Development. Thank you so much for listening to the Cleaning Up Podcast. If you found this episode valuable, then please subscribe on your favorite listening platform, and please share it with your friends. If you're ever interested in going into business for yourself and purchasing a franchise, then don't hesitate to reach out. You can get a hold of me at phone number 205-870-8643, email KyleD@ineedamade.com, or visit us online at twomatesfranchise.com to learn more.